Hey guys, how are you? So, I just wanted to record my thoughts on a situation that's unfolding just for posterity and say what I think and put this out to the internet as well. Now, these are my thoughts, and this is just me going about my somewhat fragmented thoughts and putting it out there. I might get some things in this video wrong. I'm not a scientist. I'm just someone who has formed an opinion about something by reading a bunch of different analysis of the situation by people that are more expert on this than me, and also reading up on the situation in general. So, what's the situation? The situation is that an American biotech type company, which is privately funded, so privately funded science that's already starting to become a little bit, scary. But this, and you'll soon see why they had to do what they have done. But this privately funded biotech company is claiming to have brought back the dire wolf. Now, question is, if you don't know what a dire wolf is, then either you're not a fan of Game of Thrones or you're not nerd enough to know about Pleistocene Americas. But it's an extinct species of canid that went extinct about 10,000 years ago, which existed in the American Pleistocene, along with, the animals they hunted, like woolly mammoth, giant sloths, ancient bison, and believe it or not, camels. Camels in America, yeah. So, horses as well. But this company, Colossal, is claiming to have brought back the direwolf, de-extincted the direwolf, and it has become this huge media craze, and mainstream media have picked up on it, and everyone is talking about it. Now, before I say what I think, which can come off as I'm, criticizing Colossal, or I am, which I'm not. I am against this whole thing, which I'm not. I wanted to say that I find this genuinely cool, like what they've done, and some of the technology that they've described in their address, and in their public announcement is really cool, and that could impact and probably help in achieving the outcomes of some of the research that comes after it, or maybe some of the research that is going on. So I find this genuinely cool. On one hand, I see why the statement that we have de-extincted the direwolf is very cool and very attractive, but I also see like why this is a completely false statement. So that's what I want to talk about. Like, this on one hand being genuinely cool, and like not the actual de-extinction, but or claimed de-extinction, but the technology, some of the technologies that has gone behind it. And I might mention one or two here and there, but this has been covered in more detail by other people, and I'll link to some of those things down in the description. But this is more, this video will more be me recording my thoughts and giving you some information about what has happened and what it is and what it is not along the way. Now, Colossal a few weeks ago came out to the public via a very big mainstream media outlet and claimed that they have de-extincted the dire wolves. Two male cubs were born initially um, back in October, I think, and then another female was born sometime after that. So total 3 specimen exist now. They've got photos, they've got videos, yeah, the whole shebang. Very attractive and very cool from its appearance, you know. And most people, including me, got really excited when I heard it the first time. But then you start to think. So, what they're saying they've done is they have taken the already sequenced genome from a grey wolf. So they have a donor grey wolf. They've taken its genome and modified 15 or 20 genes to give it the morphological characteristics of a dire wolf. That is what they're saying. So things like bigger size, whiter fur, etc., etc. And they're saying that by doing that, by replacing 20 genes, they have de-extincted the dire wolf. So essentially what they're saying that whatever that specimen is, a grey wolf with 20 replaced genes is a dire wolf. Now, you see the problem in that? If you take me and replace those exact same genes in my genome, then do I become a dire wolf? It's the ship of Theseus analogy. Like, if you take a ship, like this has been a paradox that has, been in the mind of philosophers for a long time. This is a ship of Theseus analogy, literally. If you take a ship, you replace it part by part, but store all the parts, all the old parts, the replaced parts, and build a new ship with all those replaced parts. Which ship is the original ship? And that is to say that even if they replaced all the genes with direwolf genes, if they made an exact copy, that won't be a direwolf. That could at best be a new species, or a synthetic species, to be more precise. But that won't be a direwolf. A grey wolf with 20 genes from a direwolf. Where did they get this direwolf gene from? There are like 2 skulls, like well-preserved skulls. They got this gene from, which is again very cool. And in doing this, they did manage to do some really cool science, which is something that I'm very for. Like, if that was like doing really cool science rather than exciting the public was the goal, then they have succeeded. And they have succeeded in exciting the public as well, which for the wrong reasons though. Yeah. So they did this multi-CRISPRing, which is basically when you have to edit genetic code, you go into the cell with the technology called CRISPR, and that puts a lot of stress on the cell. So if you have to do 100 modifications, then you go in 100 times, and yeah, it puts a lot of stress on the cell. So they have figured out a way to go in once and do all, multiple modifications at once. That's genuinely cool. That's That's the one I remember. One of the cool things that I thought at the time. And don't get me wrong, like, if they replicate the looks of all these prehistoric animals, like some of the morphological characteristics visually, again, we don't know if these animals had these morphological characteristics because what we have is only the skeletons in most cases. But if they, cloned these animals, the looks of these animals, and they built a park, a Jurassic Park-esque park with them, because the list of species that Colossal wants to de-extinct is pretty ambitious and long. So they want to bring back the woolly mammoths, they want to bring back the dodo, etc., etc. And so if they built a park with all these Pleistocene animals, I'd pay some money to go see that park. What I don't find cool is them stating that these are de-extincted direwolves. And that I find is blatantly false statement. So, I said the other project they're doing is woolly mammoths. So on the way to de-extincting woolly mammoths, they created mice with woolly mammoth-like fur. Now, is that mouse? Are those mice woolly mammoths? No. But it's the same thing. Like, we could have literally edited the genes of any other animal and gotten the same result. Like, so they're saying the morphological characteristics they chose for is bigger size, the whiter fur, which are characteristics or morphological characteristics they think belongs to the direwolf. And what makes a direwolf a direwolf? No, it doesn't. Like, 15 genes doesn't make a grey wolf into a direwolf, even if it's 20. Can I inject 20 human genes into a chimpanzee, and will that chimpanzee become human? No, absolutely not, even in our craziest dreams. If I inject tiger genes, Bengal tiger genes, into me, and I get all these stripes all over my body and whatever, do I become a Bengal tiger? No, not in my dreams. I don't. So, this is to say that those things that they've created, they're not direwolves. They're not a new species. Absolutely not. They are grey wolves with visual changes. That's what they are. The last part I want to talk about just why they had to do this kind of... That I understand, definitely. They're privately funded company. So, they have to keep their investors excited. And if I were an investor in this company and was like, oh, I don't care about science, and I don't care about what science says, but I want to see something really cool. And I want other people to be excited about this. Like, this needs to be a viable business, basically. So why do they have to do this and keep doing this if this company wants to survive? Now, imagine I was an investor, like I was an investor, or you were an investor in a company. What would you want them to do? You'd want them to give good returns on the money you've invested in them. And in Colossal's case, this is the way they do it. They get people talking, they get people excited, they get the investors excited. Oh, this is something fabulous that has happened. And that's how they progress to their real goal. And I do think that goal, to me, it seems like the only goal there can be is to build this theme park of sorts, Jurassic Park. Again, this is not Jurassic Park even. Like, these are not direwolves in any shape or form. Like, if we take Jurassic Park for the story it is, and everything we accept as was in the story, Jurassic Park really brought back dinosaurs. Again, not possible, not real, but if we accept the story as is, they brought back dinosaurs. Those were dinosaurs. But these are not direwolves. So some people are comparing this to Jurassic Park, which seems all gloomy and, very dangerous, etc. But this is not Jurassic Park. This is, at best, a movie. Like, you've put some makeup, a very permanent form of makeup, on some grey wolves. And you're going to do the same thing to bring back, I don't know how, but yeah, woolly mammoths and dodos and whatever. And you want them to play a part in the media, not an ecosystem. So they're saying that these animals will fulfill the niche they used to fulfill 10,000 years ago if they're released back into the wild. How? Niche is gone. That niche is gone. How would they fulfill that niche? Animals go extinct. Like, recently animals are going extinct because of habitat loss. Like, we are encroaching, like humans are encroaching on their habitats. But one of the other reasons animals go extinct is because their niche is gone. Like, their prey, maybe their prey die off due to some extinction event, and then they die off as well. Their niche is gone. That's why they went extinct. And that, in recent times, has been humans. But it could have been a lot of other different reasons as well. So, if they're saying that this work is really important to preserve biodiversity, there is some vague truth in that, because if this gets us talking about the real issues, like if this gets us talking about bringing back or rewilding the habitats with flora or fauna that has gone extinct, and their niche still exists. Their niche still exists, and they have gone extinct. If this starts a conversation on that we don't need to invest in these things, or we do, so we build a theme park, we build a park out of these things that we've de-extincted. People go visit there, pay money, and we use that, we funnel that money into investing in things that really matter. De-extincting the species which still have a niche. Or the conversation starts on why we need to not only bring back species, but also bring back their habitat up to scratch, so that those species can exist in that niche. If this starts a conversation on this, and this funds that, that's the situation we are hoping for. And if Colossal's long-term goal is that, which I would like to think it is, then this is awesome. Then it's awesome, genuinely awesome. Like, people like me who care about both these things, like, who think that, going to a park where, prehistoric animals exist, and I can sort of interact with them, not touching them and stuff, but interact with them in some form, taking photographs, and feel like I'm in Pleistocene. I'm in prehistoric, in a prehistoric world, that is genuinely cool for me. But it's only cool. Like, I would only want that to see in a controlled environment and like a movie. Like, I would like to experience that movie, but at the same time, I would want the revenue from that movie go into real conservation and climate change causes. So yeah, there you go. Those are my thoughts on this entire situation. And if you're not caught up on this already, consider yourself caught up. And I'm preparing myself also for the mess that is going to be the comments if people see this video. But as I said, I'll link to some other videos and articles about the situation in the description below. And yeah, go read up on it. And yeah, let me know what you think. Because as I said in the beginning, like, I will have got things wrong in this video. This is just me recording my thoughts for posterity. So, until next time, this is Upmani signing off. Thank you.